That would be Janice.
Hello, Lonnie. Hello, Janice.
Hello.
Is that an important phone call?
No.
Okay.
It's a spam.
Well, we have a quorum. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:32.
Alrighty.
Are you doing roll call?
So Sarah Thompson is absent. Mike Baker. Tom Trotter,
Here.
Here.
I'm here.
Lonnie Rainville,
Here.
Janice Baker.
Here.
And so far, we do not have Doug or Michaela. But that gives us 4 for the quorum.
I pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have one coming in.
One coming in first.
Since we're just barely at quorum, in case there's anything, if there's any quorum issues that need to get taken care of on the agenda. I can't remember, I have it on the screen, but I have to leave around 6.
Yes.
40.
6:40?
Yeah, I'll be out of here by 6:40, maybe a couple minutes before.
We might make it through in record time with fewer people.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, and we're being short on people, we have executive session at 9:15. Do we want to table that until we have everybody?
I believe that one's for February, right?
It's on the agenda, but there's no,
No number.
Subject.
No subject.
Okay, so that's okay. That's just placeholder then.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed. I missed that when I did the agenda.
Well, usually if we have one, there's a number and a little letter.
Okay,
This does have a number, so that's why I was kind of curious.
okay. That was my oversight. I did not think to check that when because I did a file save as and then did the agenda based on our previous one.
Okay, so never mind then.
no executive session.
No session.
Okay, let's move on to item number 4, the consent agenda. Any comments or questions online? No? All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Lonnie.
All right, Lonnie moved, Mike seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No opposed, motion passes. Move on to item number 5, financial report. Give it to Sherry.
At this point, we should be using 50% of our budgeted expenses. We are in line with our budget. Does anybody have any questions about the financial statement?
Yeah, I have some questions.
Okay.
Just curiosity, really. Medical transports were like a 38.77. Do you think we'll hit the $550,000 income budgeted for the year?
Let's see.
Actually, I believe that we will end up going over that.
Yeah, we will be.
Okay,
We had between Bay Cities. Yeah, it's 213, so we probably will, because I think we're taking on some extra down for that pretty soon.
okay. Yeah, and then there's the bank statement. No questions online? No? All right, so you had a statement to make, right?
I did, so I put it into a letter so that you guys would have time to kind of review and think about it and, might have more questions based on the letter that I provided, but so we recently had a meeting with several members of ODOT Public Transit Division, including Jennifer, who is online with us tonight. And then Marshall Hoskins and Joseph Everline, who is in charge of capital, and Stephanie, who I do not recall exactly what her position was, but Sherry and I met with them and they discussed their concerns with a number of items, primarily that we do not have enough money in the bank to pay for the vehicles outright. So what we had intended to do and have done previously was submit the reimbursement request, pay the match, and then when the reimbursement comes in, pay the rest of it off. There, no excuse, just the way things have kind of turned out. There's been a bit of chaos in our employment with various positions. And so things did not happen as timely as they should have or could have. And so we're now in a past due point. So that combined with the fact that we've been looking at the stiff and like the year in review kind of a thing, only going back to the very beginning in 2018, Sherry has actually gone through and she has done the by project and by year, how much was spent, how much we received. And so we're gonna go through and do a deeper dive on that. But as we were going through the process, of looking at, the line of credit to be used to offset the capital expenditures so that we weren't using operations dollars for capital. The piece that we hadn't looked at is, are we using capital to cover operations until we get the reimbursements? And what we're finding is that, yes, that it has been for a couple of quarters now that we have utilized what was in the bank account in the general fund and then put it back into the general fund as a reimbursement. And, there are a lot of reasons that has come to pass. I'm glad that it's been caught now and that we can look at how do we resolve this? Because we don't want to end up in a spot where we are non-compliant in how we're spending our STIF funding, because then we would become ineligible to receive our STIF funding, which would do nothing but harm our entire district, the entire county. So we're in the process of doing a lot of review, and I think that by the time that we do the executive session next month, I will have a pretty sound, strong plan to move forward as how do we do that prudent reserve? How do we establish it? How do we build it and move forward so that we don't end up in this position again? Jennifer, do you have anything that you would like to add to that?
I would just say that as a division, public transportation division, in light of things that happened at Sunset Empire, partly, and then also with the changing of our staff, we have new folks. And the reason that I contacted Cheryl and Sherry is because one of our new funding managers, I was going through my end of year, making sure everybody's reports were completed. And then I got an email from our program services folks saying that you guys did not have your report done, and I needed to have it done by the 12th in order to be able to distribute the next round. So that's part of the reason that we did the meeting. And I had talked to Marcia, and she just said she wanted to be there as well. And Stephanie is a manager. So she's a manager. She's the policy and implementation manager, although those positions are in flux. So it changes daily. So with that said, that's part of the reason that we reached out. So we did set some goals for Cheryl and Sherry to hit. We needed to have, they did have some outstanding reimbursement requests for the capital that needed to be put through. And so Cheryl got those done. I think on late Friday, and I got them processed, finished up processing today. So that should be coming to you guys within probably 10 days because you have direct deposit. So typically it's a week to 10 days after they process, depending on the load at program services. So yeah, part of the reason that we did contact everybody is because we are under increased scrutiny at PTD, which causes us to have increased scrutiny for our providers. And we did have those trainings this past month, the financial trainings, and several of those red flags came up, with the funding. And so that's part of the reason that I reached out. And so I do highly recommend, if you have opportunity, to take those financial trainings. I know I talked about them a couple different times here at the board meetings. You want to be looking at the financial statements. Cheryl's providing you guys with the bank statements. It shows where you guys are standing. And then, looking at those, at your profit loss, you guys are doing those, you're accruing those funds. And so they're there, but they aren't there. So you just really want to make sure, as a board, you don't want to be the board in the paper that said you didn't pay attention to what was going on. So with all of that, that's my caution, and what Marcia wanted me to convey to the board tonight is just, we're not bringing the hammer down. We want to be here to help you all, because we want transit to be successful. And so that's, part of the reason that the increased scrutiny, so that we can catch things early and try to hopefully help you all. So
Thank you.
that's and I'm going to put the links in the chat to the trainings. And I believe that you just have to contact Taylor and he will send you the link to the actual recording. But there's a couple of really good trainings in there that we've done over the past couple of months.
Jennifer, could you email that out perhaps?
Sure. I can send them to Cheryl, because I don't know that I have all of your guys' email addresses.
If you did a reply all to the meeting,
Yes, perfect.
from tonight.
Thank you. I
That
will do that.
has all of them, plus it has the personal emails for the people that have difficulty with their Umpqua transit email.
Perfect. That's what I will do.
You're not on the right channel.
This is related. Is it possible to get digital copies of like the financial reports? Like a CSV file or something like that?
Like,
Because I can analyze
Excel?
that stuff.
Yeah.
In Excel.
Yeah.
We can send it in Excel.
That's how I prefer it too.
Yeah.
So I can actually click into the cell and see what it is.
Yeah.
What does this
Great pivot
mean?
tables and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
all right.
So yeah, with the capital, you said the capital account or capital,
So
those
we,
should have been, so it's like a crossover, right? That's,
capital reserve.
yeah, so like they have that's like purchase funds, and then you have the operations funds administrative, so that kind of crossed over to different projects basically, and also different category.
Because it's being held in a single account as a general fund.
Yeah,
Yes, that is what happened. So what we need to do is separate the funds within the general fund. For our own use, because it's like that in the budget.
making more errors.
Yeah,
It's, yeah, in one fund.
yeah,
Can you do that at the bank, create separate accounts?
we can.
Yeah.
There are a number of things that we can do there. I believe it would be a vote of the board to create an actual second account.
I mean, through the accounting, you can have accounts and then that, the balance should be this, and if you go under that means you're withdrawing from other things, right, too.
So that's kind of why we're looking at different accounting software.
Yeah.
Is because we need something that is more robust, that does show the funding sources. So as we're entering the invoices, then it pulls it out of the grant that it's allocated to. And right now that has to be done by hand.
So the capital funds being spent on operations, right? What does that mean for the capital purchases that those are made for?
that means that we were not able to pay for them in a timely manner until we receive our reimbursement for the operations.
So that put us down in the future as well?
It does. That's why we need to come up with an income plan, which I believe that we have a handle on how we can do that. But this is gonna be something that will take time to resolve. Jennifer has her hand up.
Yes, Jennifer?
Yeah, and just on a note, a good note, you guys, Cheryl put in back in July for COVID funding, which is retroactive funding. So if you guys have any invoices that meet those projects, you guys got, I think about 3 or 4 of your projects were funded with the COVID funding, and it's going to be coming out. The agreements will be going out mid-January. We just wrapped up with PTAC today, sharing those the projects that were awarded, and I believe you guys got 4 of your projects that were awarded, so it's about $600,000 or so.
So I was just looking at the link to those allocations, and what had originally been forwarded to me was 230,000 and 518,000.
Well,
And
yeah, the good thing is that we got an additional $850,000, and so we were able to add, and that just got finalized today at the PTAC meeting. And so I can share that with you all and show you. That's the wrong file. I can show you which ones you got. I think you got all but one of your projects, I think, were awarded. So you have let's see, which is a good thing.
yes,
Let's see, it will not, oh, there we go. Okay, so you didn't have any 5311F projects in there. You got 518,360 for preserving hourly fixed. You got, let's see, $230,000 for paratransit.
Mhm.
And I guess that's it. I thought you had one other one, but it looks like that's it. I can tell you that Bianca told me, so this was supposed to be like the last of the COVID funding, but it sounds like they needed to do some additional accounting, and there's a possibility we might find additional funding. And I think you had maybe one more project. So there is a possibility, but that I won't know anything about that until probably February. But you do have the 3 projects.
that's huge.
518, 360 for preserving fixed, and yep, and the 230 for FTA required paratransit.
That is huge. Wow, thank you. I had just looked at that allocation over the weekend and it had changed. So it looked like we only got the 230,000. So that's really good to hear.
Nope, this one, it should be posted, and I will make sure that Brian gets it posted. But we just got the final approval today at the PTAC meeting. I shared it out with them. You are listed as one of the agencies that didn't get one of your projects funded. It's either 1 or 2. So there is a possibility, because we only have $2,319,000 left, and they were talking about $950,000 additional, which would be phenomenal if we could get you another project, and that can help pay for those operations costs. So
Yes,
yay,
wow.
COVID funding.
Oh, that's huge. Well, that's helpful. And very timely. Thank you, Jennifer.
It's like Christmas, but later.
Yeah. So we will be reporting on this for you guys in a slightly different manner going forward, so that we show you what the operations and the capital and the bus, all of that, what those funds are what the grant funds are available and what we've charged against it.
Mhm.
So that, and then play that out with the bank account. So
Yeah.
that it's a more realistic look, because Jennifer pointed out that, you know, we do this funding, financial, overview every meeting, but it sounds like everything's fantastic. You know, we're within budget and where we ought to be, yeah. So,
It sounds fantastic.
yes.
When it's not, I mean.
Well, when we realized where we were and what we were doing, cause it had just kind of gone under the radar. We were just paying the bills and not looking at where they were coming out of.
Mhm.
Yeah, so. We're gonna
I've been
fix
able to go all the way back.
Yeah, some of the stuff I was wondering, like on the general fund resources,
Everything for the STIP plans.
like some of that stuff should be broken down to see what was from previous. Like stiff projects, right?
Mhm.
And then that would be clearer, like what's
Yeah.
available.
Yep. So
Like on
that's,
this page with the vehicles, I was wondering, that you might be doing this, but, if you could associate the purchases with a project, a stiff project
Mhm.
on the spreadsheet.
Yes, so we will do that. Where you can see that on here is I've gone by grant. So the 34227, the first grant for 4 vans.
Oh, that's the grant number, okay.
Mhm. And initially, we had anticipated the grant portion of that is 255,000, and we had planned the purchase at 318,000, utilizing 63,352 of STIF funding to balance that out. That was for the match,
Mhm.
and some additional funding that we had ordered what we needed and gone over the allocation for the grant, so we had added a little extra onto that. And then when the cost of the vehicles went up, we ended up having to pay an additional 42,262.
That's where the 360 comes in, right?
Mhm, that's where our total invoice was 360, yes. But the total stiff that we used, instead of being 63,000, it was 105. So, that's the other column there next to additional. So our total
okay.
stiff that we used the planned 63,000 and additional 42,000
So 63,000 plus 45,000?
for a total of 105, yeah. Just for those 4 vans. And then for the next one, the 3 hybrid vans, we ended up with an additional 28,308, which is over and above what we anticipated paying. And there again, 105,000 in STIF funding. And then it kind of goes on down. The only one, the 34248 hybrid bus, that is the only one that we did not have an increase in the price from when we ordered it to when we received it. So
So where's the additional stiff fund? Where did that come from?
we had a capital project reserve that was
over.
specifically. Yeah, it was specifically for the purchase of these vehicles, for the match money for these vehicles. But the other piece of that is the thing that I found when I was researching this, when we made the STIF plan and allocated those projects, it was back in January, February timeframe. And we had been advised that we were gonna receive all of these vehicles by the end of June. So as we were making the plan, instead of rolling the whole 715,000 forward into the project, we left the allocated amount, the 370,000 in the previous plan. We didn't roll it forward.
So what does that mean with the bank account?
It's still in the bank. It was still allocated,
So,
but it didn't get rolled forward into this.
so what's on the budget, would have been shown up, it would show up on your cash reserves or what?
We're gonna figure all of that out.
So
Those are questions
where's
I
that
have.
money located? It's in the bank?
That's what we're figuring out.
Cause it should just be in the bank, right?
It should be, yes.
Okay, so it might have been spent on something.
on, operations.
Okay,
That's our concern.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is being reimbursed,
Mhm.
but it's a concern that we did it in the first place.
Well, hopefully it's something we learn from and become better,
Oh, yeah.
including the board members. So I know I pay way more attention to this stuff.
We're gonna eagle eye it now. Yes. Well, that's huge, is for the oversight, for somebody to ask the questions, it's like, oh, I never even thought about that.
I've been learning a little bit.
Yeah.
About stuff of my own.
Yeah.
Any questions online regarding the note from the general manager?
No,
No,
Michaela? Okay. Okay, we already covered the vehicle purchase grant status and STIF capital projects, 23-25 STIF plan. Can you cover that? Okay. We have a motion to approve the this is the January 8th, right, financial report,
Yes.
December. We have a motion to approve the December financial reports, agenda item 5.
I like that, Ms. Lonnie.
Motion made by Lonnie, was that second by Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I heard aye.
Oh, okay. So we got 5 down?
Yeah,
Okay.
motion passes.
And how many would expect to absent? Okay.
Okay, any public comment for on agenda items? No public comments. Old business. Agenda item 7.2, budget timeline.
Do you want to do that?
Oh, this is named differently from them on the agenda. Oh, it's 7.1. I don't have 7.2.
That's odd. I only have 7.2 as.
Yeah, I only have 7.2 here.
Okay, well, I know where they are.
Well, do you guys have the agenda item 7.1? Up there?
Just on the agenda.
But do you have it in your packet?
I'm looking.
I didn't see it, no.
I thought I
Okay.
saw something. Maybe it was in an email or maybe it was the first one, the first
Yeah, I
email.
did. In one of the emails, I remember reading the line of credit update.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
remember reading
basically
it too.
it was the,
Message from the bank. Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it was the,
And the lawyer.
yeah, it was the bond council, the agreement. So I figured that we probably needed to have the financial discussion before I signed the,
Yeah, yes, it's on the agenda.
yeah. So that's why I included the letter from the bond council. I didn't think that you'd have any problem with me signing it, but I just wanted you to know our financial status first before I actually completed that process.
Yeah.
And then they've had a number of questions, and the last round they sent to me right before I went on vacation, but they were also going on vacation, so, their questions are also some of what led me to finding the things that we're discussing tonight. Because they had confusion about, our budget and, they had asked for, a breakdown of our federal grants, state grants, and then income. And then the question that came back after we provided that was, why doesn't that match the allocation on the resolution of the adopted budget? And so what we found is that what was included in that was the money that was in the bank. But the challenge with that is that the money that was in the bank showed up mostly as unappropriated funds, when in actuality, those funds are appropriated for the capital reserve. And so there have been some back and forth, answering the questions, and then them asking more questions, because the answer gave them part of what they needed, but then opened up more questions. So we're still not quite there yet on the line of credit. They're being very thorough, but it's been very helpful for me to be able to learn what it is specifically that they're looking for. So, we've been back and forth, back and forth. Yeah.
Did this agenda item need a motion?
No.
Yeah, informational purposes.
Yeah. And it would only need, an action if you didn't want me to sign the.
Remember, he had a fee, right? Or they had a fee of like, was it 12 or 8? It was 88,000 or something?
So that high?
No, it was multiple thousands. I think when he mentioned it. And
I think it was only like, I don't think it was like 88.
they 12,000 or
If
something?
you don't mind taking just one moment, I know
Yeah, I
where
can
7.1 is. I know right where it is.
That's a
I
good
thought it
thing.
was
to
like
be sure.
Thought it was between 7 and 8,000, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
She's been dealing with most of it, so.
We need some intermission music.
Right?
Music.
Is he getting something that's different than what was in the PDF packet?
If you guys have the packet, that should be accurate.
Okay. Yeah, the
Sure,
one
it's
you
back
sent out
now.
yesterday or today or whatever it was, the most recent one has it all.
Yeah. It might be on the second or third page.
I thought I had, printed duplicates, so I didn't include it in the packet.
12,500.
Huh?
12,500.
12,500.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's, they're retained, their services are retained for that price.
Yes.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So originally when we had talked about doing this line of credit, it was really just to kind of cure a cash flow issue, right?
Mhm.
With what we've discovered tonight with the financial report, is there any intention to use the credit line any differently than when it had initially been proposed?
I don't think that it would be a good idea to do it any differently. I believe that, we are going into the budget process. And we are gonna do it a little bit different this year than we have in previous years. We're not gonna just look at what we spent last year and add a little bit more to it. We're gonna dive a little deeper into what the true cost per hour and cost per mile in each mode is to provide service. And then look at, project that out for each one of our routes for the fixed route. And then, for the demand response, it works a little bit different. It's more like a per ride cost. But we're gonna, look at, do we need to cut any service? Have we expanded beyond our means to be able to, maintain? Because when we did the expansion, the cost of providing the service was less. The cost of fuel was half the price, the cost of preventive maintenance was also about half the price. So we need to seriously look at what our service is and what the cost for providing that is, and then project that out and figure out how we're going to utilize what funding to make that happen, as opposed to, here's our funding, how do we make this fit? We're gonna have, we just started having manager meetings, monthly manager meetings. We're gonna probably do a little bit more often throughout the budget process. And we're gonna do some teaching. Sherry and I are gonna work on ensuring that, our new HR person and our operations manager and supervisors all know specifically where their money comes from in the budget and how much is allocated to their programs, and they're gonna be responsible for tracking their budget throughout the year as well. They're gonna have to be able to look at their budget and say, based on my budget and where we are now, I know that I can't add another driver. Or I can add another driver, only it needs to be part-time. But they need to be more actively participating and knowing what the cost of their program is. So, we're gonna do some teaching, we're gonna do, some, projection work, and then, hopefully we'll come back with a budget that is, well, not that this one that we're working on now is not accurate, because it really is. It really is accurate, but in light of knowing that we need to cut some costs, where do we cut those costs? You know, how do we cut the costs? And I believe that just implementing the new vehicles is gonna cut a lot of the cost for preventive maintenance. Because on the new vehicles, the cost of doing a service, a 5 or 10,000 mile service is way less than the major component replacements that we've been doing. We have replaced transmissions and drive lines and rear ends and kingpins. And
Labor's a big cost.
it's just been through the roof. And I think that having the new vehicles on board is gonna make a huge difference in that. So we're just right now rolling into where that difference can be seen. But we only have 3 new buses, so that's not.
Cheryl, I have a question on this. So basically the way I'm reading this is we have an agreement that we're gonna pay 12,500 in attorney fees. If we take any money, we use any money from the line of credit, we're also gonna pay a percentage rate on that money lent. So this is gonna be above and beyond 12.5. It's gonna be, what is the percentage rate that we're getting on this line of credit?
We don't have she's the one that would be helping us get together the agreement that would determine that amount.
I thought that was mentioned in the October meeting, right?
I thought it was too.
Was
I
it
only have
8.8% or
November.
something?
It was.
Cause I remember the number
was something,
88,000.
And we have to take a minimum amount out, and so the fee is actually very large. I think that's where you were sort of thinking.
Yeah, I remember.
So it's more than 12.5, because, right, don't we have to take,
If
like-
we utilize it, we have to, I believe it was 220,000.
But one is a fee to a lawyer and the other is to the bank.
right?
Yeah.
Right, so we're being hit by multiple fees. I gotta be honest with you. I haven't been a fan of this line of credit from the get-go. I really don't like taking a line of credit, especially in lieu of what's brought forward tonight. I really don't like the idea of having a line of credit until we get our finances squared away.
I am somewhat in agreement with that, and at the same time, I kind of feel like without it, it holds us in place where we have no alternative but to utilize the operations dollars in lieu while we're trying to wait for the reimbursement on the capital. Kind of like where we are now with waiting for reimbursement on the operations. And the challenge
The
is,
way I look at that is using your credit card to pay off a loan. I don't think it's somewhere we want to go. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it.
Using the operations for the other expense would be a non-compliance thing, right?
Mhm.
But, I mean, what does Jennifer Boardman think about that? Cause I mean, would that be something they could work with us on? I mean,
well, the
'cause
fact.
I don't really like credit either, but.
Right. The fact that we're in a position where we need it is definitely a concern. But a lot of other agencies do utilize it in the same fashion that we're presenting that we would like to utilize it.
Are we going to use the credit line ever for operation costs?
No, it is,
Only for reimbursement for these purchases
And I think that was
before
part of-
the loan or before the.
for the
funding
I
capital.
disagree with that, no, because basically that's exactly what we're doing. I mean, we're getting caught in a situation where we're having to get this line of credit to pay for operations. That's exactly what we're doing.
Well, we have the funding for operations. Well, I hear what you're saying.
Cause the fees are coming out of the operations costs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The fees have to come out of our income because we can't
Mhm.
charge them to the grant.
Right. This is sort of an issue of just growing too quickly.
It is. It is. When we started the district, it was about $200,000 that came over as the reserve from the county. And at that point, we thought we had a year until we were going to have employees of our own. It was just gonna be the two of us working to make sure that we had everything in place to make that happen. And then it was fast forward, from the middle of March is when we found out that UCAN was gonna give up the program, and the 1st of July is when we took over. So instead of having that a little over a year, we had about 3 months to do it. And we have never had an actual reserve that was not the money from the STIF
Allocated,
payment.
yeah.
And that STIF payment came and it was $1.2 million. And it went into the bank, and that was operating capital. But it wasn't a problem then because it was allocated to operations and it was allocated to capital. And we never had to, there was never any crossover until 2 quarters ago.
So is there an opportunity to apply for funding for operation capital? I
So
mean, and some of these loans that are not loans, I'm sorry, but the funding that came in for the COVID projects,
Mhm.
right?
we can use, that's for operations, yes.
Only we can't use it for capital.
Okay,
Yeah,
So we-
right, but
so it resolves, yes, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so it seems like we need to find other sources of revenue to do that. Of course, transit fares is something that can't be used as a match, but it could be used as, another source to pay interest or whatever, some of those fees perhaps. Some of the medical transport might be directed one way, but maybe that's a way to pick that up. And maybe there's advertising, maybe there's other things in there. We talked about the refueling and anyway, we might need to get a little creative, but I think we need to find some additional revenue sources too.
Yes, so that is part of the plan that we have in place, and I'll have more information on what that is actually gonna look like by the time we have our next meeting. UCAN has decided to close their volunteer driver program. And so some of their drivers used to drive for me when I was the supervisor for the medical transport over there and at UCAN. And some of them used to work through Selena as their dispatcher. And so I believe we have at least 4 of them that are gonna come on board and drive for us starting next Monday. So there might be more, but at this point, there's 4 that I know of for sure. And that right there will increase the income. But to what extent it will take a month or so to see what that looks like. We did have a meeting with Bay Cities. It was the week before Christmas. They came to do inspections on our vehicles. And so one of the things that they had talked to us about is that they were gonna be giving us a lot more rides. and that there's gonna be an expectation that we share some of those rides, that we, if we are using a wheelchair van for a ride, to provide a ride for somebody that is in a mobility device, then the expectation would be if we can share that with an ambulatory person or even two, that would be the expectation. The more people that we can put on one vehicle for the same time frame, then the more the income. But we'll just have to see how that settles out as we bring them on board and start seeing the change in the number of rides assigned to us.
Yeah, so I think we need some kind of a revenue plan that just kind of shows what the revenues are, where they're headed toward federal grants or not. Is there anything that's can any of those fees be identified in a STIF plan? Since those are state funds
You mean like,
as a project or something, or and any of those fees rolled into anything there into a future STIF update plan? Not necessarily
well,
this particular grant proposal, but for future, if there was anything in the future that where we were doing this.
they could actually, in this project period, could go under admin costs. But we're pretty tight on what we projected for admin, trying not to go over. So we'll have to take a look at that. Sherry and I can take a look at that. So yes, that it would go into admin. If we move forward with this, that's where the attorney fee would go, is into admin.
And then is there anything in the state, through the State Transit, Oregon Transit Association that's being proposed for future legislative action in the 25 legislature for, I know it's obviously too soon, but, for the, transportation funding, I think transit was supposed to be a part of that. So I'm wondering if there's anything in there or anything through OTA.
So,
If they have other sources there.
the revenue committee that so I'm a part of policy and revenue committees for the move forward to the legislature. And, what we have been discussing is, how do we propose this going forward? How do we show, how beneficial what we've already done is to, the entire state? And community by community, we've put up a website that shows by Senate district, by House district, by county, and by, I think that those are the three ways that it shows up, that you can click on the map and you can see what transit is provided in the area that, say, the senator serves or the representative serves, or you can see that FGD is actually in multiple districts. So we have multiple senators and multiple representatives that our district touches. So we're doing an educational program. We're looking at it would be optimal and serve the best purpose if we bumped from 0.1% to 0.3%. What that would do if we go that route, if that gets approved, that would change the revenue that comes to UpTD from 3 million per biennium to 9 million per biennium.
Is it allocated equally like that across the
It
state?
was allocated by where the income is generated. And so it is the people that pay payroll tax within Douglas County. That's the money that comes to Douglas County.
So it would end up being equal around the state, it's based off of each region's payroll tax multiplied by 3,
Yeah, by 0.3. Yeah.
as long as there's people paying payroll taxes.
Mhm. And so there, in our conversations, there have been, there are very few people left at the legislative level that were part of HB 2017 and that know what it took to get that package through. However, in the OTA group, there are quite a few people who were there and part of that and know what it's gonna take to push that forward. It would be part of a bigger package. I believe that tolling is also gonna be something that's addressed in that package. Tolling in the Portland area, I believe on 205 is something that they're looking at. And also, there's been a huge discussion around TriMet and what their contribution needs to be for the Interstate Bridge Fund. And so for them, if it increased by 0.2%, 0.1% of that increase would go directly just to the bridge project, and the other 0.1% would go to TriMet as a whole. TriMet as a whole, though, is facing some unique problems that don't happen nearly as much at the rural level as they do up there in Portland. They call it the fentanyl tax because they have expended so much money in basically security and those kinds of things to address the fentanyl epidemic on their vehicles and trains and bus stops and things of that nature. So,
Operators,
yeah,
been getting sick from it.
yeah. So, yes, there's a lot of conversation that's happening. We've only had one subcommittee meeting so far. We do have an OTA meeting tomorrow. We'll discuss what the two subcommittees bring together and make sure that that they're in alignment with each other, because those of us that are on both committees can see the potential for coming up with a plan that the other one, it doesn't mesh with, you
Does
know?
it stiff stack?
No, this is for stiff funding, but it's at the legislative level.
Okay.
So OTA has lobbyists that go and talk with the legislature and help educate and provide information about the transit tax. So we're working with them to see what does this look like? What do we move forward? So what we're actually looking at is, rather than have to come back and make this ask every couple of years, is can we propose something that would initially bump up by 2, so it would give it to 0.3% of a 0.3% is what the tax would be. And then in 2 bienniums, then it would bump again by 1%. Not 1%, a tenth of a percent, 0.1. And then again at, I think they said 2032, it would bump again at another tenth of a percent. So that would bring us up to 0.5% without having to repeatedly go back. So the devil's advocate portion of this, that people said that, you know, the legislator is going to say, well, isn't this a hard ask for the people who are living in poverty? And so my response to that is, living in a rural area where the greater majority of our county is in that 100 to 200% poverty level. When you talk to employees, when you talk to drivers, when you talk to riders, or even just people out in the general community that are aware that this is something that they pay out of their paychecks, the response is a resounding, I don't care. It's $1 out of every 1,000 that I make. And what that ensures is my mom has a ride to dialysis, or my kids have a ride to their medical appointments when my car isn't running, and the scenarios that play out, they're endless, you know. People don't mind paying $1 per 1,000 because that almost all of them know somebody that it's helping, you know? So, that's been a good piece of the conversation, because I think that was a fear that a lot of them had. But the next piece of that is when we have transit days and when we have the opportunity to go and speak at the Capitol, we need to have those people that are willing to say that, you know, they're willing to speak why they're in favor of it. I know that, you know, of course I work for transit, but even if I didn't work for transit, there's a transit bus stop near my dad's, and he's at the point where it definitely can't drive after dark. Not that, transit in Canyonville runs much after dark, but during the daytime, there might come a point where he just can't drive, you know, and.
I'd like to actually get us back on topic. We're supposed to be talking about the line of credit update, and we've kind of gotten off task.
Okay. So where do we want to go with this? This is actually why I brought the letter to you guys is, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew, what it is that we're moving forward with.
So can you just remind me of where we are with this? The last time we had voted, it was to move forward, but is it that we are actually signing on to the line of credit, or do you need another vote from us before you can move forward with that?
This is just the contract, the attorney-client contract with the bond counsel that would allow us to move forward with the line of credit.
So do we need to vote on that?
No, you guys already gave me the authority to sign it.
It was just, it says informational only.
But I didn't, there are some things that even though you've given me the authority to do in light of new information and new circumstances that maybe I wasn't fully, I can't say I wasn't fully aware, but I wasn't fully aware.
I'm gonna make the motion that based on the information that was shared tonight, that we rescind the approval and that we hold off on the line of credit. I'm making that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay,
What was that, Janice?
no,
Okay. Mike?
Let's think about that. I guess I'm kind of a no too.
Okay.
I
So
would
I think-
prefer that we move ahead with it, but not,
Yeah.
I think we need more information. I'm not
Since we
saying,
don't
That's how I feel.
That's how I feel. So I'm saying no for right now until we get more information. That we.
Yeah, I think I vote was saying
Yeah.
yes
Well,
to
we're
the
not-
motion.
we're not
So
being
he
asked
said
to
no
approve
to
it
the
right
motion.
now. Right? We're just
Right
we're
now,
just,
she has the authority to move forward, and I think I would personally like to look more at what was presented tonight before we
Yes.
move forward. I think we should vote again at the next meeting is what I'm thinking.
And that's
Yeah.
why I'm saying rescind it for right now. We can remake another motion to approve at a later date.
Yeah, I think going slower is not bad.
I
As long
I
as
think
we
if the
can,
interpretation is that we're going to continue to move forward with the attorney and the bank and all of that, but not sign anything until after the next one, and for a final approval, I would be okay with that. If that's what we're saying, I think that's what I'm saying. I hear, but because that's what I'd like to hear more. I'd like to hear a little bit more, get
Yeah.
a little more information with everything that's been said. I
Was
don't feel
your
like
vote-
we're ready to just approve it.
what is
So
your
let me
vote?
clarify my motion. My motion is that we basically rescind the approval with the letter until we get additional information about the circumstances. At that point in time, we can make a new motion to allow for approval.
Can you repeat that?
That we
Rescind the appro-
We
Sorry.
rescind the approval to authorize the signing of the line of credit pending additional information. At that time, a new motion will be made to make the approval to sign the line of credit if we're all satisfied with what was obtained, the information that was obtained.
Okay, I can't write that fast, but I got.
That's
like,
right,
the
I'll be able
person.
to come back to the video.
I mean, I still vote aye for that.
Me too.
So Mike, was yours an aye or nay?
Aye.
Okay, so that was 3 ayes,
4.
1 nay. Oh, 4 ayes. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 1 nay. But my question then is, since we're missing, 2 people, right?
Mhm.
Can that still pass? Oh, I guess 4 out of 7,
Yes.
that's the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the motion passes, 1 nay.
It's always the majority of the quorum present, not the majority of the
Okay,
entire board.
What is quorum?
4 out of 7,
We're good.
yeah.
So we have 4 in favor, 1.
And tonight was,
So we'll still
6.
continue moving forward with the attorneys, with the bank and all of that, but we're not signing anything or approving anything. Is what I understand. And with that, I have to leave.
Okay, night, Mike. Okay. So, we can move on then to item 7.2, approved budget timeline.
So the thing that was asked at the last meeting was that we incorporate how the budget is gonna be delivered to the members of the committee. So I just put in yellow the pieces that I.
Mike's in the waiting room, it says.
Oh,
He had one more thing to say. And another thing.
Might not be intending to do it. He left. No, he's here.
connecting.
Actually, I
there it is.
realized that I could listen to you in my truck for another 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, we're on item 7.2.
So I just added the pieces in yellow that we can email an electronic copy of the budget to committee members with a reminder to look for the physical delivery, and then committee members may request a mailed copy in place of delivery if they prefer. That basically gives you the option of email, hand delivered,
It said
and
emailed, right? Not mailed.
well, some people want a mailed hard copy.
Oh, last sentence was confusing to me.
Mhm.
Because it says email electronic copy, and then they may request a mailed copy in place of delivery.
Yeah,
Hand
so-
delivery is they actually have to hand it to you instead of in the mail.
yes.
Okay, so. Yeah. Okay, in place of physical delivery, hand delivery, okay.
Yeah. So if they preferred not to have it
Okay.
hand delivered to their house, they could request it be mailed to them.
Mailed as in the mail,
Yes,
okay.
yeah. Yes, so that's
So
the
it's like
first
a-
part of it, the proposed budget timeline for your review and approval. Everything else about it has not changed.
4:15 is also a regular board meeting, right? Or is it 4:12? Okay,
I would have to look at the calendar.
I think 4:12 is Monday.
4:15 is actually April, the 8th would be original, but, board meeting.
Oh, yeah, April 8th is the Monday
And then the
board meeting, and
15th
the
is the
15th
third.
is.
Monday of the month.
Okay,
That's that.
so any questions or comments on item 7.2? So are we, so tonight we're supposed to appoint a budget officer, right, correct?
Oh, that's right.
Last year, was that, one of the
It was-
non-board members?
It would need to either be Sherry or myself.
Okay,
So the budget officer has oversight over the whole of the process and is responsible for noticing the public notice and the legal notice for that.
either of you have a preference?
Was it
I
you last
think
year or was it me?
I think it was me last year.
Yeah. Either way is fine.
Do we have a motion to appoint,
I'll
Sherry?
make a motion to appoint Cheryl as budget officer.
Okay, well, motion to appoint Cheryl as budget officer.
Cheryl Chase or Cheryl Blue?
Chase,
Sherry. Oh, Sherry?
Sherry, sorry.
Okay, motion by Lonnie to appoint Sherry Blue, right?
Yep.
As a budget officer. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Michaela. All those in favor? Aye.
Well, I have a question.
Okay,
So why isn't Cheryl the budget officer? So typically when you're with the city, you're,
It's usually the CEO or the administrative officer is typically they might not be the financial manager or the accountant, but typically they're the budget officer. I don't know if I've ever seen it where a department head is the budget officer for a organization.
This is my only experience with it, so.
Mine too.
Yeah, anybody else have contribution?
And I've
Lori's
done it with
wife said Sherry,
Patco, with
because she
City
said
of
that it was
Roseburg,
last
with,
year.
yeah, Rusa.
Yeah, Jerry did it last year. I think that's what Lonnie said.
Well, I mean, it's generally, that's just part of the
Job
duties
duties.
as the
Yeah.
general manager is you're also the budget officer. You're the one that's ultimately responsible for the budget.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's all right with me.
I'll rescind my motion and make a second motion for Cheryl. to be
Okay.
our budget officer. I don't care one way or the other.
Okay, Lonnie made a second motion, rescinded the first motion to appoint Sherry Blue as budget officer, made a second motion to appoint Cheryl Chase as budget officer. And Michaela seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And we do have a second motion that we need to get made. Can we have one to approve the budget timeline?
I'll move to approve the budget timeline as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Mike Baker moved to approve the budget timeline as presented. Lonnie seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then just so you know, I did make contact with all of the previous budget committee members. And so we have 14 confirmed budget committee members.
Yeah, and most Jim's on there.
Yes.
Very good.
Can I ask how those are selected?
So the first 7 are the board members,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest of them are by application.
Okay.
And we had one budget committee member last year that said he would prefer not to do it again. That was Toby. And with Jim and Capstone, both having previously been budget committee members, but no longer are board members. I just asked if they wanted to continue. So everybody that is on there now at one point submitted an application and asked to be on there.
There's information on the website, I believe, right? Posted.
Yeah.
But it's not, is there anything in the paper posted for that? Yeah. So
No, and now
it's kind of
all
like
of
a lot of
the
city stuff.
slots are filled. So that's
Yeah, slots are
awesome.
filled.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on to new business. 8.1, establishing a cash reserve.
So this is very timely with the information provided tonight. If you look at our current year's operating budget, it is 4.2 million. And then based on that, if we went with what is typical for most businesses, it is a 1-year reserve. Actually, how did they put it? A policy for their prudent reserve not to exceed 1 year's operating, but 1 year's operating budget plus outstanding liabilities plus one-time capital expenditures. So I don't know if you want to make a motion to adopt a policy along those lines, or if you'd like us to bring one back to you to make a motion on. But if we start with a 3-month reserve, that would be just over $1 million, about $1.1 million. And we would need to put a financial plan in place to achieve that. Because all of the funds that we have coming to us until the end of the fiscal year 2024 ends June of 2025. Everything that, yeah, is that right? Okay, I was like, man, it's already allocated. So we can't take something out of what's already allocated to either operations or capital and put it in a separate reserve. But what we can do is we can take the income that we have and we can put that into reserve, and we can also in our budgeting process look at what can we remove that would be then we could move
And then
those.
when will we utilize the reserve?
Oh, well, so that would be in the event of a situation just like we're in right now.
So like costs rapidly increase or made a mistake,
Mhm. Funding is reduced, so
Yeah,
that.
income goes down or something.
So that's actually a very real possibility coming up sooner than we think, because they're at the federal level, the 5310 funding, which we typically get right about 900,000 per biennium. There was something that at the federal level had increased that. And if they don't reauthorize that at the federal level, then our funding is going to drop to less than half,
5311.
5310
Oh,
of what we currently have.
that's
So
for
that's,
the
yeah, that's
disabled and
Yeah,
elders. Right?
for seniors and people with
So they have to
disabilities.
reauthorize.
Mhm. So I know that there's a possibility CTAA and APTA will be lobbying at the federal level for something along those lines, but it's a very real possibility that those funds might evaporate.
I think it's a good idea to start small. So like 3 months, it would already be massive improvement.
Mhm.
But it's kind of like when you do your own finances. I mean,
You gotta start somewhere.
yeah, and then build on it. Can you build on it
Yes.
again? Like once so we do the budget.
Mhm. Well, I believe that once we bring on, and it's only by past experience, having managed the volunteer program. I know what the level of income that it's possible to generate with that. And if we're doubling the number of volunteers that we have with people that already know how to do it and they're committed to, that's what they want to do. There's usually a reason that they want to be a volunteer instead of an
So you're
actual,
thinking some of is that paratransit?
that is
So you're thinking
medical
Medical
transportation.
transport would primarily fund the cash reserve or?
Yes. Yes. We typically take the cash from the fare box and that is applied to operations automatically. And we reduce our, grant request based on the amount of, fare box revenue that we generate. So, that is something that we always put toward operations.
Is it possible to, I don't know if it's legal or not, to hold like the cash reserve in some sort of higher interest account?
I don't know, and I'll have to check into that. I think the key it would have to be accessible.
Yeah, there's like CDs and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can tell you that some agencies do put it in CDs, but from similar to what you guys have gone through where the costs of vehicles have gone up, they did not have that extra money budgeted, and then they had to make a decision on whether they were taking their money out and then getting that, basically they had to take a hit on the withdrawal earlier than what the CD was supposed to get to maturity. So yeah, you can do that. You have to count the interest as program income. And, but you have to be careful because if it's tied up and you can't get at it, then it's not doing you any good and you'll end up losing the stuff that you're trying to earn.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd probably be something better to do once we already have a decent cash reserve.
Mhm.
So do you need a
Yes.
motion to set up the reserve or to?
We can have a motion. There wasn't one, is said a possible motion, so.
Mhm.
So I'll make
Yeah.
a motion that we establish a reserve that is 25% of operational costs and debt service.
I'll second.
Lonnie made a motion,
So do we know how much that is?
25% of operation and debt. No, that is a question I have for later.
It's about 1.1 million.
Is if we can get a
Is
monthly,
it the same number as what's on this sheet?
yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, so Lonnie made a motion, was to adopt policy to have a cash reserve of 25% of operations and debt services. And then Mike, was it seconded? Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes. Item 8.2, establishing a stiff stack timeline.
So the requirement is that we have at least two stiff meetings before we go into the process of putting our projects in place for the next plan and presenting them to the stiff stack committee. But a best practice is we need to put the grant applications for the next cycle, which are due March 12th. We need to put those in front of the staff committee and explain to them what they are and why we're asking and get their input on that. And then at the same time, we can get public input on what people might like to see moving forward. So it's and then if we do it quarterly, there can be teaching and training and updates, then they are more knowledgeable at the point where we're making the decisions about the stiff projects. And then they'll have a thorough understanding of our concern about the prudent reserve. And at that point, we can make a project that it is X amount per quarter that we're gonna put into the reserve. So that is definitely something that we can do for our next stiff project.
So you're saying you could get a project that would help you to establish a cash reserve?
Mhm.
Okay. So are we currently meeting twice a year or is it quarterly?
It's supposed to be twice a year, at least twice a year. But no, we have not met since January of last year. So that's part of why we want a timeline in front of us with set dates and.
What does the current committee think about it?
I haven't talked to them yet.
Okay. Is it they only met once?
We're establishing the timeline and
Yeah.
then I'll communicate that with them.
Uh-huh.
It can be changed based on people's
Mm-hmm.
availability.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm new to all of this, so I have lots of questions.
Okay.
How are the stiff stack committee members chosen?
So there are a number of different categories that we need to fill. So
Mhm.
we want to have representation or required to have representation for seniors and people with disabilities and those
There's
providers.
pedestrians, bicyclists, right?
Yeah,
Transit users.
so,
Veterans.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there was some fair amount of open positions last time I checked.
Yes, so we have a list on the website
Mhm.
of our open positions and we'll start doing some outreach to try to fill those as well. But it's really good to have the public input and it's
Mhm.
also a requirement for the funding that we do the public meetings for that as well.
So how do they get selected?
Oh, they apply.
Apply and then who selects them?
They apply to the committee. The committee then votes to move that forward for appointment by the board.
So the committee makes a recommendation to us and we vote on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion or comments on item 8.2? No, anybody like to make a motion to approve agenda item 8.2, establishing a stiff stack timeline?
I have one more question.
Oh, we have another question.
Sorry, is there any cost associated to this committee?
No.
Okay, thank you, that's it.
Okay, say, would anybody like to make a motion to approve Agenda item 8.2 timeline, establishing a stiff stack timeline.
Motion to approve.
Janice makes a motion,
I'll second.
Lonnie seconds, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay,
Right.
moving on to agenda item 8.3, establishing agency goals for 2024.
I don't have that.
You don't have it?
I don't have it in my packet.
Oh, there's another packet right there. That, they should have it in one of those. I got a packet from there.
There you go. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I have it.
That's a little better than I expected.
Yeah, I definitely had some thoughts about the priority ones.
Oh, I know what it is. They're all together.
Together.
Yeah, they are.
All together now. All right. I did have it. All right, yes, so. I personally, so looking at establishing goals for the agency, so one of the things that I have to come back to with that is. They have to be in alignment with the goals that we just recently established for our transit master plan and our coordinated plan. So I went ahead and pulled the goals from our transit master plan and put them here for us to take a look at. Which are just the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what has bubbled to the surface, of course, is the financial
Yeah.
sustainability. And so establishing a prudent reserve to ensure financial sustainability, I personally believe that's the priority.
Yeah.
And then as
Oh,
I
yeah.
was looking at ridership numbers, I realized that the 5% increase might be a little, I mean, it's minimal compared to what we're currently growing. We're currently growing at about 12%.
One thought popped in my head about the environmental part is, transit itself is environmentally sustainable because you're reducing car usage and stuff, so. Like, the whole focus on changing fuels types when I say go whatever's most realistic, you know, but anyway, yeah, financially sustainable.
I agree with you though. I mean, what does that mean for us putting that word in there
Which word? Environmental?
environmentally?
So part of it is it's compliance with the state goals. So it
Yeah.
keeps our plan in alignment with theirs. But then we went a step further and we did a zero emission transition plan. And so in that plan, we basically, and I can forward it to you too, so you'll have it to reference. But basically, we put in there that we didn't feel that electric was the end all be all, that it needs to
That,
be
that is sort of my
diversified.
concern is, you know, if we are sort of facing that whole, you know, this whole Green New Deal, all of that stuff that's coming up and we know we have, you know, goals by 2030 to do things that not everybody necessarily agrees with. I, for one, do not.
Right,
But is this pigeonholing us into anything?
I don't think necessarily,
No.
my point is that transit by itself is more environmentally sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
You're saving so much fuel costs and emissions and
I
stuff.
agree with you.
And so I think we can meet that just by being a transit
Mhm.
agency. So, but financially sustainable, I think that's incredibly important.
I think that was.
To also being
extremely
environmentally sustainable, because if you make a
Right.
really strong, resilient transit agency,
Mhm.
then that can help, if you can reduce car trips. And I mean,
I
that will
agree
reduce
with you.
emissions,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so. But yeah, financials, especially in light of recent things, that's extraordinarily important.
yes. The environmental piece, though, how we looked at that is we want to diversify.
Mhm.
So we're looking at the clean burning diesel,
Mhm.
which is the R99 diesel,
Mhm.
and it burns at like 0.8%.
Like the old diesel was fine, it's just that they added those extra things to reduce emissions,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
particulate emissions.
Right.
yeah. And then we're also looking at the possibility of hydrogen at some point.
Yes, you've talked about that.
Some of my concerns with those things are like, if you're growing too fast and trying all these different things, like you need to have that stable base, you know,
Mhm.
but.
Yeah, the thing about hydrogen is it's created with just electricity and water.
Yeah, but what if people get rid of the dams? We have one less coal power plant, well, we have zero coal power now in Oregon.
Yeah,
And electricity transmission lines go down and stuff. I mean, I have concerns about it.
yeah.
But I mean, fuel, you have fuel problems too. If there's an earthquake, all our fuel is pretty much stored down. St. Helens Highway up in Portland, they're sinking in the ground. And so, I mean, yeah, I'm not against diversifying either, but.
Yeah.
But some of us, I mean, I've seen those sort of things been proposed the last few decades, and like hydrogen was really big right before biodiesel was really big in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And they also have like hydrogen biodiesel and all this other stuff, and then nothing compares to just fossil fuels, you know?
Yeah.
But it's human ingenuity, I mean, it's possible, but I just favor being careful about it, really
Yes.
careful.
Very much so.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 8.3, the establishing agency goals for 2024.
Yeah, I did have some thoughts about like the order of, like from what you guys talked about last meeting, I wasn't there. Like I thought safety should be number one, because that can reduce costs and it's also just good for
Okay.
everybody.
The safety committee?
Well, safety in general is number one. And the safety committee is part of that, you know,
Mhm.
but promoting safety as the whole organization, because if you know, do drivers have are they trained with that method of, what is it, all good boys love milk? Something like that, you know, where, you have to keep, if you're a professional driver, you learn it, it's an acronym. But, like, you're always looking up 13 seconds ahead, it's checking all your mirrors every 3 to 5 seconds, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so safety, I thought would be like super important. That should be number one, like TriMet always had safety as number one. And financial sustainability, increased ridership, implementing STIP projects, apply for grants to improve facilities and shelters, improve bus stop facilities, staffing succession plan, board training, and representing transit.
So you wanna move the safety committee to number one?
Well, yeah, but it's also safety. It's like a broader category.
Mhm. Just safety in general.
Just add
Yeah.
safety to it.
But yeah, so I thought having them ordered as number one would be safety, number two would be financial sustainability. So I guess, I don't know, do you need a motion to do that?
Mm-mm.
And then three would be increased ridership, and these can be reorganized. That was just like 10 minutes of me thinking about this. 4, implementing STIF projects. And staff succession plan, I thought was very important, but I thought facilities might be more of a priority. So 5 would be apply for grants to improve facilities and shelters. 6, improve bus stop facilities. 7, staffing succession plan. 8, board training. 9, representing transit. We can look at it there.
I sort of think board training should be moved up higher because I think that it has specifically to do with this financial piece that was brought up. And I
Yeah.
think that considering that we do have new people
Mhm.
on the
I
board,
need more training.
I think that it matters, especially because ultimately, you know, if we're not understanding these
Oh, yeah.
things and passing these things, like, you know.
So I
Put it up there, like
actually
number 3.
am gonna reach out to somebody that, when I became a transit manager, I went through it was a 4-day training for, principles of transit management. And so, she came in from, I believe she was in South Dakota at the time. But she came in with University of Milwaukee, as a trainer for this, training. And so I've seen her repeatedly throughout the years at various different conferences, and
Mhm.
she's been a speaker. She was a keynote speaker at the last conference in December. And she told in our training, the most compelling story that I have ever heard for, the need for board training and understanding and oversight. And it is a story that has stuck with me for the last 12 years. She's absolutely amazing. And if she would be willing to do a training for the board on a Saturday for like a a board retreat kind of a thing. I'm gonna reach out and ask her if she will, and if she would present specifically that scenario that happened to her personally. So it, she's very engaging, and it is one of those things that, it will stick with you for the rest of your life.
One question about the training is like, what's the cost and can we get reimbursed for it somehow? Not us personally, but the agency.
Yeah,
Because
and
consultants can be pretty expensive.
I don't know what the cost would be.
Oh, Jennifer has a question.
For her. Yes,
Something to say.
Jennifer.
Yeah, actually, if you guys have trainings that you're looking for specifically, we have a training coordinator and we do have a training budget. If we were to open it up to more than just your agency, we could probably utilize RTAP funds, because we do have training monies in the RTAP. So, yeah, Cheryl, if you wanted to reach out to her, we can get that information to Tyler and see, because I know there are other boards like Sunset Empire, Coos County Board, several different boards that have formed recently and have newer members that would really benefit from this type of training. So,
Yes.
and we could get the state to pay for it instead of you guys having to.
That'd be good.
That would be
Oh.
awesome.
I'd like to say it's be extremely helpful to do them on weekend days. Like, I mean, it sounds like we probably are. I've been to a couple trainings, I think, or one. But I had to take off, use my own personal leave of work, and it's hard to do that. They don't always approve it. So
Right.
it's easier to
I know
do.
that's been my problem too, is that a lot of them are scheduled beginning on like Thursday or Friday and go all the way through the weekend, and it is sometimes difficult,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I was looking through the budget too, and to be honest, if we're serious about the training and, all of this, these conference fees and stuff, even if we can get reimbursed for them, we probably should put more in the budget for those sorts of things if we're going to be expecting board members to go and travel and all those sorts of things. So I would just request that maybe when we're looking at the budget.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, those are just ideas I had. But yeah, so the motion to the request and action is discussion and prioritization of goals. So those are some priorities, and I like Michaela's idea to put board training as like number 3. I just added the 1 to the previous. But so.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to, I guess, accept the prioritization of these goals? I mean, this document is fairly vague, I feel like. So I'm not sure if we could have maybe a more clear document, if, like with the numbers listed, so we could perhaps table this, or if it is really important to do that today.
Well, if you go ahead and pass it, I can bring it back as stated.
Okay.
Yeah, we could approve a draft of the prioritization.
Yeah, I mean, you can borrow that.
Yeah.
I took some notes on there about what Jennifer Boardman said.
Yes. Oh, do you want? Because
No, you can have, that's fine. I was right. Legit, I can do it here. I remember what she said.
So Jennifer Carroll Wright is the person that had previously done the training. And if I'm not mistaken, Angie from over in Eastern Oregon was probably at that same training with me. So she's probably aware of who she is as well, and could give you input regarding her level of expertise.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know that a couple of things that Tyler's looking at are some additional trainings, and they that South Dakota University has some classes. They have like the pillars and those other programs for the managers of transit agencies.
So did Lonnie make a motion? Because I have
Lonnie-
here Lonnie.
Yeah, Lonnie, you did start making a motion. Do you want to keep going with that, or are you okay with tabling this?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that. Let's make a motion as of the priorities as presented.
Do we have a second? I was thinking we would table it, but no second? Okay. So
Second.
motion, oh, Jan seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
I have one eye so far. Lonnie,
Do you wanna pass it or not?
I'm,
I kind of just wanna do
I
a
was clicking
draft.
on mute, it wasn't unmuting, I.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna say, nay, just because I would like to see a better drafted version,
Me too.
unless it's really important that we do this today. Which is it really important to,
It is up to you guys.
okay. Oh, yeah, I say nay,
Yeah, me too.
just table it. So that's 2 for, 2 against, so it's not a majority, motion fails. Correct?
Correct.
Oh, because we no longer have Mike,
Yeah.
no tiebreaker. Okay,
Item 9.1,
table to next time.
Where is that?
update project next door, grant number 35335, 5339 capital. Capital spelled incorrectly, I think.
Capital, but it should be an A.
Isn't capital for like financial with an O?
No, that's like the capital,
Okay.
the building capital. So these are actually pretty quick because we have not had any significant movement on this. It did move forward to FTA last month, but then we had the holidays, so we haven't heard a decision or any response yet from them. We'll go to 9.2.
Yeah, on to 9.2,
Okay,
unless there's further discussion. Take that as a no. All right, 9.2, agenda item 9.2, update low no grant, 35395.
at the time that I put together the packet, I didn't think that there was any update, but this afternoon I received a letter from Proterra that I've included in the packet. And then I sent it out separately after, it was probably 4 o'clock when I sent it out, somewhere in there. But basically what they're saying is, on 1/8/2024, so that was today. The court hearing for the new ownership was approved for Phoenix Motor Cars. This was passed and approved in federal court today in Delaware, so the effective change by January 11th. And new ownership and a new name. Also, Phoenix has brought John Walsh, the former chief commercial officer of Proterra, as a third-party consultant to help navigate the transition, with the hopes of him taking a long-term position. So, that is the update that we have on that one, is that it's finally moving forward. And then stiff project updates. I have focused so much on figuring out the information for the projects that we've already discussed tonight. That I didn't actually do any work putting something into a spreadsheet to be able to provide updates for you. What I did do though is I realized that the two things need to happen at once. We need to have the ongoing current stiff plan, the allocations and expenditures provided to you on a quarterly basis. And we need to provide the goals and how we've met the goals that are within each project. And we need to provide that to you quarterly. So we'll get, Sherry's already done all of the financial piece for the first quarter. And we're just starting into the second quarter information, but we should have that to you by the middle of February, so for the March meeting. And I just, as the more that I've dug into this, the more I realize that we just need to stay on top of this better. And by we, I really mean me. I need to present this stuff to you on a regular basis, and you guys need to be aware of where we are with each project as we're moving along, so that we don't have any issues.
So the quarterly report is on the stiff, what?
On the stiff, our current stiff plan, the 23-25 stiff plan. And all of the projects and the finances for each project. And
Okay.
the outcome measures for each project. Because depending on what it is, all of the projects have the outcome measures. The ones that are associated with fixed route transit have outcome measures that are associated with the number of revenue, service miles and hours and rides that we provide. And the same for the demand response as well.
There's stuff you normally keep track of, you just haven't been getting the information.
Well, so we track it, but we haven't been tracking it by project, which is it's tracked by project into Optus for ODOT, but we haven't been presenting that to you as the board.
That'd be good information.
Yes.
See how each project, the effect of it.
Mhm.
Okay. So all those were informational only. Is there any further discussion on the agenda item 9.3? No? Okay. Moving on. General manager's report.
Do you have any questions? I actually got it out in the packet this time, so.
I noticed that since the ridership really increased those apartments over here.
It sure
Sunshine
has.
Park.
Yes. Our overall ridership has increased significantly.
And then the website is really nice now.
We like it.
Yeah, much more user friendly.
Yeah. We'll get to that application soon. The only thing that throws me when I look at these is that the numbers in yellow are projected. So at first I was like, how could that possibly be the number? And then I realized it's a projection. So, that
So we lost the executive assistant.
we did. Yeah. But we also interviewed a couple and I believe that we made an offer today
Hmm.
and if I'm not mistaken, she'll be starting on the 29th.
Important position.
It is.
Okay.
Any questions on ridership? Or general manager's information?
It seems like, Roseburg has been increasing more than other routes, which is not surprising given it's a greater population, more stores and everything in here. So I imagine so based on that ridership, like when a person gets on Winston and goes to Roseburg, is that counting as a Winston ride and a Roseburg ride?
So it only counts as a Roseburg ride if they board a bus in Roseburg.
So on a return trip, they might go back to Winston.
Mhm.
So that counts as a Roseburg trip, wouldn't it?
Roseburg trip, not as a Winston, yeah.
So that could be affecting the data slightly.
Well, we have always, and as a general rule, transit only records when they board, not where they get off. Yeah, where the ride originates. So, yes, as the ridership goes up in other cities like Sutherland or Winston or South
Yeah.
County, basically everybody that rides to Roseburg.
Yeah.
Will,
So that's gonna increase Roseburg ridership quite a bit from people going into Roseburg, because then they go back to their hometown or whatever.
And you're counting it for Roseburg,
Yeah.
but you're not counting it for Winston, yeah.
yeah, but we do count it when they get on in Winston, which is the same for if somebody from Roseburg goes to Winston. Then when they get on in Winston, then
Yeah.
it counts back.
Do you think it happens as frequently?
Jobs.
Yeah,
Employees.
it's probably close to 50-50.
Really?
I believe that the greater majority of people that board in Winston are traveling either to Roseburg, South County, or even as far as Sutherland. Yeah, and then vice versa, they get on and travel back. And some people, of course, all the different scenarios that play out in life, sometimes you ride the bus to work and get a ride home, that kind of thing, so.
Yeah.
Are there any like grant funds available to do like more data collection and analysis? So it's like first you could do surveys, but then that would cost the transit agency money. Correct.
So I believe where our data collection and analysis are gonna come in is when we're able to replace our current software with a software that has,
Well, I'm thinking about like, like literal like survey given to people that ride. Type of stuff, and then you can collect that data and then analyze it.
so what kind of data are you looking to analyze?
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, you have tons of different questions and, usages, where they work, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've answered surveys like that before.
Yeah.
And given, but, yeah, it's just an idea. I don't know if there could be funding available. That's more work. It's not like we already have a lot of work.
We did do surveys during the transit master plan process.
Yeah, the problem, it's hard to reach enough people.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, any further questions on the general manager's report? Jennifer, do you have a question? She unmuted herself. Okay, well then let's move on to update. Jennifer.
That's why I unmuted myself.
Okay,
Let's see. Y'all were talking about trying to get additional funding for 53 or House Bill 2017, possibly increasing the funding. Suzanne, our new administrator, is going to be doing a presentation to the Transportation Committee. And part of the information that I'm giving her or getting for her is some of the gaps and issues that the providers have had, which can be anywhere from inflation, COVID, people moving farther away from the cities because of gentrification, lots of different reasons, but they all increase costs. And so the money that we had originally, we thought was going to be, enough to move us through. COVID changed everything. And so she is going to be giving a presentation to present success stories so that the legislators can see here are some great things that have happened, but then here are some things that we are looking at that are going to be roadblocks going down the road. So that's supposed to happen, I think, in the middle of January, towards the latter part of January. We do have ADA training that's coming up the 10th. So highly recommend everybody go to that. It's RLS that is going to be putting on that training. We are asking people to give us as many possible training options that you're looking for, because we do have training dollars and we have not done a ton of training in the last 3 years just because of COVID and all of that. But with the wonderful technology we have a lot of opportunities. And we have done trainings in the evening. We did a procurement training for Umpqua when the board first started. That was a requirement from the compliance review. We have a lot of staff changing. We're getting ready to offer, we offered Region 1 job to an individual for RTC, and we have 2B. So then I'll be back to just my region instead of a bunch of other regions, and hopefully we'll get a compliance person as well. Let's see what other exciting things are going on. We do have the solicitation that's coming up, 5310, 5339, and 5304. The 5304 pod is for planning, very small. I think there's only like $330,000, which is like next to nothing. But hopefully we'll get something out there. The applications are going through Optus this time. It's a new system that we have. Optus was always designed to have the applications in there, but they didn't get the technology until recently. Or we didn't have the money, I guess, maybe. I don't know which one of those two. So it will be, for those of you, the people that know Optus, it should be pretty easy. The guide, Hovey did a fabulous job on the guide. It basically tells you, here's what you need to put down for a good answer for your question. So definitely read that guide and get those applications in. They'll be due in March. And we are going to be doing a training on the 16th where Hovey's going to go over how to fill in those grant applications. So highly recommend getting that 5310 and 5339 if you need capital or operations for elder and disabled programs. And I think that is it.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, item 12, anything, non-agenda? Anybody have? I have one item, that's just, I think last year we got, that might have been Mike sent out an email with acronyms, transit acronyms. We also discussed last year about having the first acronym in a document have the definition, like the spelled out. And that would be helpful to do that again. And if we could get that document with the acronyms listed out, or like websites to check out. I watched one of the older meetings and I couldn't get quite all the information down. So if anybody has that and can share it with the board members, I really appreciate it. And as well as changing just the way of writing up documents to have that first acronym usage spelled out.
Absolutely.
Jim actually was the one that brought it up last year.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all there. Any public comments? Jim? No public comment.
Nada.
Okay, agenda build for next session. Regular meeting will be February 24th, or February 12th, sorry, 2024. I think there's that goals for the agency will be on there, right? Probably more line of credit talk, right? Then as well, you know, consent agenda, financial report. You're gonna do the stiff stack quarterly reports for us that time. Do we have an executive session for next time that's needed?
Oh, yes.
Okay, executive session. And is all, will that be the first time that the budget committee would be after that?
Yeah, the budget
Yeah.
committee won't be until April.
And they only come on to the meeting in like May, right? Because there's sometimes, or is that? Okay,
It'll be April.
okay. Anything I miss? Anybody? I'm a new chair, so I need get all the help I can get here.
Mike has one in the notes there. And not on agenda. Can we offer a quick training session for new budget committee members?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, there we go. Thanks. Well, actually, I don't see.
Let's scroll up.
Oh, there we
There's a
go.
bunch of messages.
Jennifer put in financial management.
Oh yeah, the cash reserve stuff too, right?
Cash reserve. Okay, I must have gone way back. Oh, I went all the way back to November. Mike Baker, not on agenda. Can we offer a quick training session for new budget committee members?
Sounds like if we can do it, then that would be great.
During that meeting or?
Probably not, right? It wouldn't be during the meeting.
For the budget committee?
Would it be during that?
I think that's probably,
Because that would be on, not on a board meeting, that'd be the budget committee meeting, right? So would that be during the training for it? I mean, that's fine with me. Yeah.
Training during the budget
Yes.
committee meeting in,
It'd be a non-agenda item, or be an agenda
In
item for
April.
next,
in April.
but it'd be an agenda to discuss next meeting.
oh, I see, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says not an agenda. Oh, no, that was not an agenda discussion.
Can we
Oh,
offer?
so yeah, we could make a motion about that then. It wasn't agenda item build, it was not an agenda. So should we just do that as an agenda build, or discuss it?
Well, that's something that's really easy to just add into the budget committee process.
Okay,
It's,
so
Does
yeah,
not require a motion.
no,
I'm fine with that.
No.
Everybody else think this is a good idea to offer quick training session for new budget committee members at the next budget committee meeting?
No, it's a good idea.
Okay,
And that will be coming from,
It's still gonna be the week after the
No,
next,
who's putting on the
Oh.
training?
That would be me.
You're putting on the. I'm like, do you have to find somebody? Okay, you're doing it. Okay, cool.
No, the budgeting manual, has a lot of information that we can put together a slideshow and talk about the expectations. What the process is for the meeting, what the expectations are of the committee members and,
Perfect.
yeah, we'll make it quick and easy and to the point, and I'll run it by Mike first because he knows what he's looking for and he's been part of a lot of budget committees.
should we have a little quiz or something associated with it?
Hey, stop it.
Yeah.
We make the results
We
public.
have
and
all of our
we will
positions
shame you.
filled right now, we don't.
Okay, so Is, anything else, anybody has any ideas for the agenda? If not,
Did you put the credit thing on there?
yeah, I was, the current agenda numbers, 7.1, which is line of credit update, about that should be coming at the next meeting.
Perfect.
Agenda item 8.1 from this meeting, which is establishing a cap reserve, I thought should be on there again.
Mhm.
And then the stack stiff timeline, which is actually the quarterly reports that we would get for the staff, or stiff, right, not stack.
Stack,
It'd be,
yeah, stiff projects, 9.3.
yeah, so it'd be a stiff, project stuff, that'd be the quarterly reports. And, that's everything, I think.
Okay.
Other than the normal items, also an executive session. Right.
Session, yeah.
And how long do we expect that meeting to go? Are we starting at the same time, 5:30?
Yeah, this is just the board meeting. But
For
the,
executive session?
oh. That's for your review, right?
Mhm.
Typically, it's at least an hour, I mean, it could go less.
Okay,
I've done it a couple times, that was
Yeah,
my experience.
yeah, what they had me do last time is go through the answers that I provided for all I did was provide the questionnaire.
okay.
I haven't filled it out yet.
Yes, you did present,
Yeah.
she presented a filled out version, that she analyzed her own performance.
And then I was excused from the room
Yeah.
while everybody discussed, and then I came back and everybody gave a positive and a negative, basically, about performance. So,
But it could be an hour.
So we'll be here till, what time is it now? 7:30, so.
We've actually been done before 7:30 on those meetings,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Even with all the other stuff on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, so you never really know.
otherwise I'm bringing dinner.
Oh, yeah,
Early from work, so.
yeah,
so that's something that we used to do, is we used to provide dinner.
Mhm.
And then there were a couple of different scenarios that happened in that, we had a couple of board members that just said, we don't want dinner anymore.
Yeah.
And then, COVID hit and we were almost all virtual for a while.
Mhm.
So it was just something that we quit doing, but I'm not ever against doing that, having dinner available for everybody that comes here. Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with bringing my own stuff too, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Are you gonna bring it up to share?
do a follow-up.
Whatever we wanna do.
Right?
it's fine.
Yeah, we can talk about it. All right, at 7:29, call the meeting adjourned.
All right, good deal.
Yeah,
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
bye, everyone. Don't forget.